Good day, friends. It is me, HLModTech, and I'm back with another Tinkercad tutorial. Today, friends, I'm going to show you how to make a laser cut cardboard cranky. So let's get cracking. Friends, of course, we're starting here in Tinkercad, and you can see there are 5 versions. I'm going to hit Tinker this so you can see how it is assembled, and then I'll teach you how to build it. So these are the parts that get laser cut. When it's done, it goes together like that. When you crank these, it moves the display across as a panorama. This little groove is where you link the paper. Friends, let me show you how to build it. Friends, if it's your first time using Tinkercad, I always choose sign in with Google. We're going to make a brand new 3D design. Step 1 is to name it. I'm going to call it Crankie. And I'm going to put V6. Just because I'm going to have another one saved when I'm done. We're going to start with a rectangle. I'm going to tell you we're going to build out of cardboard, so I always make it 4mm because that's the size of my cardboard. We're going to change these measurements to 90 across and 40 up and down. We are going to cut a tiny window into this with a hole. It is going to be 38 across and it is going to be 24 high. Select the 2 of them, choose a line, make the red one the boss. We want it to be centered and grouped. Just like that, you've got the window. Now we need the little tabs up top. We're going to create those with little rectangles as well. Once again, I do 4mm tabs because that's the size of the cardboard. And I'm choosing to make this 40 so that it is reasonably strong. Let's make this 4 so the heights match. Let's select them both. Let's choose a line. Let's click on the red one and choose the middle and the top edge. Now we want to move this out, so watch this. Because the nudge is set at 1, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do Control D, and we can do Shift Nudge to move it to the other side. If you rotate and zoom in, we can just nudge it over there with the arrow key until it connects. When you've got it lined up, friends, all we do is select them both. I'm going to do Control G, which is the shortcut for group, and boom, the face of your design is built. Now, friends, let's be real smart and build the top and bottom with the same pieces. Do Control D to make a second one. And then, friends, we simply need to take this and ungroup it and ungroup it. We do not need this shape anymore. And, friends, we're going to change this dimension to 30 and press Enter. This piece becomes a hole that gets cut in. Since it's 4mm, we can just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and bingo, it's in place. Now we do need to cut out the corners we're going to use for the vertical supports. I'm going to click Control D, and I'm going to do Shift Nudge, and then we're going to change the measurements of this little guy. I want you to change this amount to 8, keep the 4, and then we are going to move it to this edge. I'm going to do Shift Select. I'm going to choose L for a line, and I want it to go right to that corner. And then I'm going to do Control D, Shift Select. Once again, press L for a line, and I want it to go to this corner. We need to add the holes for the cranky. We're going to do that with the cylinder hole. When you bring it out, make sure you make the sides all the way around. Hold Shift and stretch it to Crazyville. But then we're going to type the number 17 and press Enter. We're going to click on our snap grid and change it to 5. We're going to select these 2 pieces. You could also do Shift Select, press the letter L for a line, and we're going to go right to that corner and right to the front edge. Now we're going to go 1 click to the left. We're going to do Control D. I'm going to Shift Nudge to the other side. We're going to select those 2. Once again, press the letter L, go right to that edge, and then we're going to click that 1 piece and go 1 click to the right. Switch back to your 1mm nudge. And this is because we're going to go 4mm. And notice I'm going to Shift Select to get the 2 shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Friends, you have just made the top and the bottom. If you select all of those and do Control G to group, bingo, it'll fit up there, and you can see that's going to be really sharp. We'll move this stick away because we'll use it in a minute. And we'll do Control D, and bingo, those are pretty sweet. Just because it's super easy, let's do L for a line. And boom, snap them all. It's time to duplicate this. Let's do Control D. And now we're going to make this vertical part. When we do this, I'm going to tell you the numbers that we want to type are 48 and press Enter, and 12 and press Enter. I'm going to move this off to the side. I'm going to click on this little fella and do Control D. We're going to turn it into a hole. And then these need to be 4 by 4. So we already have the 4 here. We just need to change this to 4 and press enter. Select the 2, do L for align, snap to this corner and this corner. And then do Control D, shift nudge to the other end. Select just those 2. Notice I'm double checking the 2 shapes. And I'm going to do a line, and I'm going to go to that corner right there. Friends, if you group that, you have just made the vertical supports. How cool is that? I'm going to move this to the side and do Control D. So we have 2 of those ready for cutting. Friends, believe it or not, you have just built the components for that awesome project. Now we just need the vertical piece that we crank with. We're going to click on this and do Control D because we're going to use it again and again. This one is the longest we make. I need you to type 64, and it needs to be 8 in this direction. Notice it's a more sturdy rectangle that way. We're going to cut a groove out of it, once again saving that part because we'll use it, so we do Control D. This one has the measurements 40 by 1.5. We do need to make it a hole. Select those 2 parts, choose a line, click on this one, and we want the middle, and we want the middle. Take those 2 and do Control G to group them. We need 4 of those, so we're going to do Control D. I'm going to do nudge, 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 no shift this time, and then do Control D and D. Notice it memorized those nudges, so they're all laid out really nice. I am going to rotate them 90 degrees just to use my cardboard more efficiently. Let's quickly move this aside. We will use it again. Friends, it is time to bring out another cylinder. Once again, move the sides to 64 to make it smooth. Notice this time we chose the solid. Friends, remember we're going to hold shift, stretch it to Crazyville, and this time we're going to type 16.25. Friends, that one is super slick because remember these holes are 17. This way there'll be a gap so they spin more easily. I am going to change the height to 4 because remember this is created out of cardboard and I just like it to look like it will when we use it. We need to cut a square in it. We're going to cheat and use this rectangle again. We're going to make this rectangle 8 by 8. Notice you click, type 8, press enter, and we're going to make it a hole. Select those 2. Let's press that letter L and align them to the center and the center. And we're going to reuse this again, so just do Control D, Shift nudge, and we'll leave it alone for a moment. Select those 2 and do Control G, and bingo, we have got the little washers that are going to go in here. We need 4 of those, so we can do Control D, nudge to a spot where they are spread out. Notice I'm going to look at the top and make sure they're not touching, and then do Control D again and again to get them lined up. Notice they did bump into those other parts, so I'm going to just nudge them up out of the way. Right now, we're going to grab our template, and we're going to hold down Shift, stretch it to Crazyville, and the number that I want you to type is 21 and press Enter. Notice that made it higher than 4. We can switch it back real quick, even though it really doesn't matter. It's just for looks. And then we're also going to take the hole, and we're going to make it a little bit larger. I'm going to stretch it to Crazyville, but then the number we want to do is 8.2 and press Enter. These will be in between the device and the actual crank. Once again, hit L, select them both, center, center, and before we group, we're going to reuse these again as well. So do Control D and move them across as template 3. Now we can select those 2, do Control G to group them. We need 4 of these as well, so let's do Control D, nudge it down, Control D, and then we'll go back and do Control D, and we'll put the other one inside there. Smart use of our materials. Let's go back to our templates. This is our last one, so we don't need to make a copy. We do need to hold down Shift and stretch it to Crazyville, and the number we're going to type is 40 and press Enter. Once again, let's change that height to cardboard height, and this also lets us see the hole. We're going to reuse that same hole, choose L for align. We want to make it to the center and the center. Let's also add a hole out here so it's easier to spin. Hold down Shift, squish it, and we're going to type the number 10. And then just move that into place wherever you want. I am going to select them all, do L for align, and I do want to make sure I have it in the middle. When I've got those where I want, I'm going to do Control G to group. And then, friends, we need 2 of those, so Control D, move it across, And friends, there you have it. All the parts needed for a cardboard cranky. I'm going to get rid of this piece because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to put these side by side. I'm going to take two of these and I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees. I'm going to shift nudge down and over. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take these two and rotate them 90 degrees. Remember, shift rotate is amazing. It goes 45 degrees at a time. Shift nudge, move these down, get them close. And that means I can drag this one right here, move my template out of the way. I'm going to real quickly take these four and bring them down to the bottom. I like that nice straight line. Use shift nudge to get them below. And then these will fit pretty nifty right up here. Now these fit pretty nifty right here, and are you ready for this? Friends, we're going to add one more little part. I want you to do Control D on any one of these legs. And I want you to ungroup it because we don't need the hole. But we need this little part for when we're gluing these together. So I'm selecting this, finding the hole, deleting that, and then I'm going to shorten it. We only need it to be about 25 or 30. You can take your pick. These help the space of all these be in the right spot when they're done drying, because you cannot put it together all at once. I'm going to do Control D so I have two of those, and then I'm going to select those two and do Control D, and I'm going to move two up here as well. So I've got four of these to work with as we're doing assembly in just a little bit. Rotate 90 degrees. Don't forget that shift rotate so it snaps even faster. So friends, with all the parts in place, I'm going to select them and simply choose Export as in SVG for laser cutting. I always save in my 3D modeling folder, and as you can see, it is already named, and it's time for us to head to the laser. Alright everybody, we're going to cut this using Lightburn and the ATEZR P10. I'm going to load the file. There is Crankie V6. When we hit open, it appears. The settings I am going to use for this. I'm going to choose a cutting speed of 400 millimeters per minute, and then I'm going to use 100% power and one pass. So we've got it connected. We've got the camera on. Let's do shift nudge to move this over into place. I'm going to slide it forward so that you'll be able to see the cutting actually occur. The P10, if you've never seen this, has a one screw adjustment and a sweet kickstand so that you can get your height where it's supposed to be. There it is. So now I can lock it in, and then I can bring the kickstand back up. Let's do a quick frame and make sure it fits. Life doesn't get better than that. Friends, add in the safety glasses and let's make something magical. Alrighty friends, so as you can see, the ATEZR makes short work of this project. Cuts them out absolutely perfectly. I'm going to real quickly use the bottom of this cardboard to grab all my parts. You don't want to lose any. We did not make any extras. Don't forget to grab these little silly ones that we're going to use for alignment purpose. And let's take them down and get them assembled. Alrighty friends, so let's do some assembly. First step is to find these pieces and the two vertical supports, and we're going to assemble that. All these pieces stay separate. I like to build with tacky glue. I'm going to start by putting glue in here, on this edge, and in here. And then on the other end, I'm going to do the same thing in those edges and in those edges. Then these simply drop in place just like that. Now these two drop in place right here. Glue goes on both these ends, and then I'm also going to put it in the groove. Bingo. Let's get the other one glued. Once again, I'm going to do the downside and little inside marks with a little bit of glue. Say this more than once, less is better than more. And we can stand that up and give it time to dry. With all of this, you want to make sure that it dries. Friends, it is time to glue these together. Once again, it is just a little bit of glue on each side, and then we're going to glue them in pairs. Notice I'm putting the glue on too, making sure that I do get enough that they stay, but not too crazy much. And then, friends, grab the partner, and you want to make sure they are lined up really nice. And again, let them dry. Grab the wheel, and we're going to put glue in the center area. And I'm going to remind you ahead of time, these sit separate. They do not get attached today. And find the larger disc, not the small one, the large one. And then this is where you need to make sure they're lined up. So we grab these little rectangles, and you put one in, and you make sure it fits both ways. And you may even want to leave it in there just so they're for sure going to be open, but you don't want any glue because that part can't stick there. Later we're going to add supports. So I'm going to just leave that in the middle and locked in, and then we're going to do the same part for this one, and then we're going to do that same process right here. Once again, a tiny bit of glue. Find one of the larger discs and glue it right there. Find one of those little sticks we made and make sure that it fits both ways so that you know that you've got it all lined up. Then leave it to dry, just like that. For the bottom, we can put glue about 8 millimeters up because we're going to add 2 discs. First, we're going to add one of the small discs, and then we're going to add one of the larger discs. I'm going to put glue on that small disc so that it actually attaches to the large disc. Leave that one to dry right there. Then I'm going to repeat the process with this one, and then slide on the larger disc, and do make sure they're all the way down at the bottom. And once again, let it stand to dry. Alright everybody, so as you peek at this, it is all pretty darn dry. I will let you know I cheated a little bit with a hairdryer, but it's time to do the next piece of assembly. Notice when we push this through, that little washer fits right in that hole. And then we need to add the washer that goes up top. So we are going to simply put a little bit of glue inside this washer, and we're going to slide it on that peg to make sure we got it at the right height for that little washer or bushing or whatever you want to call it. And bingo, slide it down in. Make sure that the bottom one is pushed all the way in, and you got that top one right at the right height. And then repeat the process on the other side. Notice I'm grabbing the peg so that way it doesn't fall out. See if we can slide that on nice and easy. And boom, push it down into the hole. Now these don't get attached. We take them on and off when we're ready to play, so we can continue to let them dry before we actually install paper. So friends, let's give it some time to dry before we actually play with it. Alright everybody, this is what they look like when they're finished. These come on and off for reloading. I'll have a whole separate video for how to make one, but once you get it loaded, you can simply crank across your awesome panoramic image. Or as you can see, I have got a panoramic phrase. Friends, they're a ton of fun, and they're reusable because we can pop those out and take out the reels, which of course is a ton of fun. Friends, I hope you had a ton of fun with this project, and you're adding skills in Tinkercad so that you can make your own objects using tabs and cardboard. Friends, I do want to remind you, if you have not snagged a laser yet, that was the ATEZR P10. There will be details in the description. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please also hit that share button so more people can learn about HLModTech. Don't forget, you absolutely make my day if you take time to leave a comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button. And last but not least, hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know when there's a brand new video from me, HLModTech. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.